All right, we'll go ahead and get started. Thanks for coming as usual on Monday. Really appreciate it. I know you guys have a job to do, and I think you guys do a great job of giving us the coverage that we want here in our program. So again, I thank you guys for that. As normal here on Monday, I just review the game quickly, kind of preview the upcoming opponent, and then answer any questions. Just going back and taking a look at the Illinois review. Obviously, it was a great win for our program, for our players, everyone really involved, coaches, support staff, everybody in the organization. It was a great feeling in the locker room, fun plane ride home for everybody. And it's just really cool to see those players get a chance to celebrate the way that they did. So it was fun. And when you can go on the road and win, we got 3 new starters in the secondary. We're missing one of our starting offensive linemen. And be able to pull off that win is great. The challenge for us now, though, is being able to reset our focus and get ready for the next opportunity, the next challenge, and be able to go play with that same energy, same passion, same physicality, and just execute better in certain situations and in certain calls. But that's our challenge. And when a team is really on the hunt and really chasing to try to improve and be the best that they can be, that's what good teams do. That's what good players do. They have that ability to be able to reset and refocus and get up for the next challenge. And I thought we had 2 really good weeks of preparation for that Illinois game, and that obviously helped us have success. We had focused preparation, and we need to get that again as we move on to play Purdue here this next week. Defensively, I thought our D-line played very well against Illinois, especially in the run game. They were physical in the run game, did a great job of using our hands, getting off blocks. I thought we applied pressure to the quarterback. Got a couple sacks, but we were close to hitting the quarterback and getting hands in his face several times in that game. Juwan Harris was our player of the game. Very happy for Juwan to be able to get his first start on defense, really his first game playing as a DB, and to go out and have the production that he had was outstanding. Things we've got to continue to clean up are some penalties on defense, and we didn't finish the game the right way. I think they had around 250 yards or under 250 yards with 9 minutes to go in the game, and we gave up 2 drives in the last 9 minutes of that game, and we didn't finish it right. So we're not very happy about that. But up until that point, I thought we were playing an outstanding defensive game. And you look at most, the pass yards are disappointed in the total, but again, I think they were 144 yards passing with 9 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. And we've got to learn to finish the games, and we will. Just a few technique things here and there, and a couple calls here and there that we can do differently in those situations that will help our players. We need to do that. Offensively, our whole O-line was the unit of the game. I thought outside of the Washington game, that was the best that our offensive line had played so far this season. Outstanding in the run game. Pad level was better. Their footwork was better. Stayed on blocks better. Still have to clean up some of the penalties on the O-line, just like what we do on the D-line with foolish pre-snap false starts or holding calls or things like that. We've got to get that cleaned up. The other thing offensively, 3 fumbles were unacceptable. We've invested a lot of time in ball security, and from a fumble standpoint, we've done a pretty good job this year, and Saturday was the worst that we had in that department so far this year. Special teams, we had some big plays that helped us in that game. We had some big punts in the second half that changed field position. Obviously, on one punt, turnover occurred, and we got the takeaway that gave us really good field position. We had some pin-ems on our kickoff coverage team inside the 20-yard line that helped us with field position. But again, just like offense and defense, some things we got to get better. Could have had a punt blocked. They were in hold-up mode most of the day. Late in the game, we assumed they were going to hold us up, and we took off, and they came and could have had a punt blocked. And then we mishandled the onside kick at the end, didn't execute in that situation. So there's things that we have to do better there. But, again, overall, pleased with the victory. And again, we know when you go win but can learn from that, that's a good situation. So we'll move on and get those things cleaned up. Talking about Purdue here for this week, it's homecoming. Excited to be back here at our stadium. Hopefully have a great crowd, great turnout by the student section, the Riot Squad, to create a great environment here on Saturday. We're going to need it. Purdue's a much improved football team. Their new coaching staff has done an outstanding job with this team. They're very multiple on both sides of the ball. Quarterback's playing well. Good skilled players on the offensive side of the ball. But we've got to continue to play like we did last week. We got to play physical. We got to play with tremendous effort, and we got to execute better and be a little bit better in situational football to have a chance to win this game. But excited for the next challenge, and our players are too. So with that, I'll go ahead and open up for questions.
Chris, quarterback, how did Gio come out after you said after the game that you would check on his knee? How did he come out of that? And
he's day to day.
Okay. And then, so do you expect him to start?
Day to day.
Okay. What did you? A couple times, I know he only threw 10 passes, but a couple times he rolled out, whether designed or because of pressure, and made a nice throw on the run. Can you talk about the element that how he's able to do that and what kind of element that brings to your offense?
Yeah, I mean it's a different element. It's one that we really felt like we needed as we evaluate ourselves in a bye week. With where we were at offensively, with the way our O-line was playing, our wide receivers were playing, the way we weren't protecting the quarterback as good as we want. We wanted a more mobile quarterback, and that's really what went into the decision to play Gio. And we got that. We got exactly that in that game. Protection broke down a couple of times. Gio pulled it down, scrambled, extended the play with his feet, and was able to keep his eyes downfield and made throws. And we moved the sticks because of it. And later in the game, Kyle was able to do that same thing on a huge third down play. So that's been a big point of emphasis by Coach Kill to be able to do that, and that showed up Saturday finally.
Does anything change with the tight end dynamic now that you've put Travis Vokalek into that mix on the field?
No. I mean, our tight ends are playing well. I think Travis has done an outstanding job in practice making plays, and has earned the opportunity to go out and try to help us make plays on Saturday.
Chris, the way you guys were able to run the ball on Saturday against a run defense that statistically was not good, do you envision that same possibility coming against Purdue? Again, another run defense who statistically is not quite there.
Every week's different, and we were clicking on all cylinders last week in the run game. We played in my opinion, pretty physical up front on the offensive line, but every week's different. Again, you go back to the Washington game where our line played pretty good and pretty physical and protected the quarterback. We ran the ball in that game. Didn't happen the next week. So nothing's guaranteed. Our guys have to show up, and they got to grind, they got to work, and they got to keep trying to get better every week. And that's what I talked about. Every really good unit, good players, good teams are able to reset their focus and go out and prepare, for that next opponent. If you don't, the performance isn't going to look the same. I don't care about the opponent's stats. It doesn't matter to me. Purdue's got good players. We got to go play, and we're going to have to prepare exceptionally well this week to go out and be able to even come close to doing what we did this last week.
Coach, this Purdue team seems a lot improved from last year. What concerns you most about them?
Everything. I'm more concerned about us. Being able to recapture the focus and the energy and the passion and the physicality that we played with last Saturday. I mean, that's our challenge. Purdue's a much improved football team. They've got big physical guys on both sides, up front on both sides. They've got skilled players in the right positions. Their quarterbacks are playing well. Very multiple, create some schematic problems on both sides of the ball. But I'm not worried about that. I'm more worried about our team being able to, again, refocus and prepare the way that they did for that Illinois game if we're going to have a chance in this game. That's what we have to be able to do.
Chris, at safety, what's the update on Kai Hester and what
no
are you planning
update.
to do? Okay. No. What are the plans at safety?
Exactly what we did for Illinois. That's it. That's all we've got. And I know at times you guys think I'm hiding guys on the depth chart, but we're putting the guys out there that we have. And if we get some guys back from injury, that's obviously an added bonus. But right now there's no change in our depth chart or our plans moving forward.
So, Coach, how do you recapture that physicality, that emotion that you just had in that Illinois game for this week?
Get our guys to forget about it and remember about the process to create that and what they did, how they practiced, how they prepared, the last 48 hours of the week, how they really locked in to their assignments and what we needed to do and our plan to win. We've got to be able to do that each week, and that's a measure of a consistent head coach and a coaching staff to be able to get that done. It's a measure of a consistent player to be able to get that done, and that's really what it is. There's no magic formula to it. We have to all, myself included, that win over Illinois, it's gone. It's behind us. It doesn't affect the next week. We have to reset. We had some really good focused preparation. We have to be able to recapture that and do that again. It's just constant communication with the players about it, education on why it's important, and motivation to get it done. It's as simple as that. And that we have not been able to do that here yet since I've been here, and that's the challenge right now, to be able to get that done.
Chris, building off Bobby's question on Purdue, do you have an appreciation for how quickly they've been able to, I guess, they were in a similar position that you were in, and how quickly they've been able to be competitive? And does that, I don't know, say something about how teams like Rutgers, Illinois, Purdue can actually come up from the bottom of this conference?
You know what? The only thing I can worry about is our program here and our situation. I don't know what their situation is. You say the situation's similar. All situations are different, and nobody really knows what the situations are until you're actually on the inside. So all I know is Jeff Brum's done an outstanding job. He's been a successful head coach at Western Kentucky. I got a ton of respect for him and his staff. They won games there. They built an outstanding program there. They've shown up on Purdue's campus, and they've done a nice job in the short time they've been there. To even come close to comparing and contrasting and talking about the situation they took over, that wouldn't even be the right thing to do.
Juwan Harris, Player of the Week. When you're recruiting a guy, how much do you factor in his ability to be able to play on both sides of the ball at one of those skill spots?
At this level, that's really hard to do. I mean, we're doing it out of necessity. It's not something that a lot of guys have the ability to do, nor do we want to have a bunch of guys that can do that. We want to be able to go out and recruit guys that can play wide out, guys that can go play DB. Miles Nash has been doing it for the majority of the year. He's been playing tight end. He's been playing defensive end. So Juwan's not the first one to do that. But, again, we're doing both of those things out of necessity. I mean, that's where we're at with our roster, and that's what we have to do to try to give ourselves a chance to win. But we are concerned in recruiting about guys playing multiple sports. And if a guy that we recruit has some flexibility in his position to play one side or go over to the other side, that's obviously an added bonus. But it's not like we're out. We're not any different than anyone else. We're not out looking to recruit a bunch of two-way players. It's just not what you necessarily do.
Coach, when you guys have the injuries that you've had, the depth issues, and then you see guys that step up, just like this past weekend, Juwan is a good example there. How much confidence does this give the locker room, knowing that there are guys that are going to step up and fill those voids?
Yeah, it really what it does, it speaks volumes of the character of the players and the selflessness of the players, because Juwan didn't just step up to fill a void. I mean, he changed positions. And sometimes that's hard to do, especially if you feel like you're pretty good and you add value at a position, it's your natural position. To ask you to go to the other side of the ball and play a position that's not your natural position, you've never played, that says a lot about an individual. And we talked about this victory against Illinois. It wasn't just about the victory. I mean, we didn't out-execute Illinois. I thought we out-toughed them, in my opinion, and honestly, it was more about the brotherhood of our football team that won that game, because we had guys that were selfless, guys that did step up, guys that were hurting that we didn't know if they could play when the foot hit the ball on Saturday, and they did play, and they played every rep. Guys that were going down and running a lot, taking a lot of reps on special teams and on offense and defense that just didn't want to come out of the game, even though they were tired, they were hurting, they felt like they might start to cramp, and they went. And that speaks a lot about our brotherhood, on this team and in that locker room as much as it does anything else.
Obviously, the way you guys ran the ball's kind of the way you've always wanted to play, talking about toughness up front and whatnot. But do you guys need to get more out of the passing game? And to that regard, how much did Janarian give you guys a lift?
Yeah, everyone talks about you run the ball, pass the ball, balance. All of those things are important. But at the end of the day, we got to do what we got to do to be able to win football games. Is there going to be a game down the road on our schedule at some point that we need to have balance and be able to throw? Absolutely. We're not going to be able to go out there and do what we did every Saturday. It'd be awesome. It'd be great if we could, but we're also realistic, and that's probably not going to be the case. So, we would love to have balance in our offense. Saturday, we didn't need it, and if you don't need it, you don't use it, but we didn't need it. Janarian gave the whole football team a spark. He was back there as a returner, didn't get a lot of opportunities to return on kickoffs and on punts, just with the nature of the way they punted the ball. But anytime Janarian's back there, our football team's confidence is elevated because we know a big play could potentially happen. With him out there at wide receiver, it's the same thing. He did catch a nice ball over the middle. We got him a bubble screen that he had a nice gain on. We got called for holding. But whenever he's out there, again, he's just one of those players that makes the others around him elevate their play because they're so confident in what he can do. And that's what he brings to our football team as much as anything. Yep, thank you, guys.